Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Island. I'm your host, Thomas. I got my Hawaiian shirt on, so I'm good to go. But today I have a special guest who's coming on in. He just took a plane all the way to my secluded island. Let me introduce you to fantasy football expert Royce. Welcome to the show, Royce.
Nice to be here.
Fantasy football podcast number 3. We got some good content for you today. So make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you're getting the podcast notifications. We're going to do this every weekend, and I'm going to start bringing in all kinds of guests like my man Royce. So here we go. So Royce has been in a couple of my fantasy football leagues over the years that I've been commissioner of, and he doesn't really play with me anymore because I think you're a head-to-head kind of guy, and my leagues are always total points.
I am a head-to-head guy. Yeah.
So tell me, what do you like about head-to-head?
I like a little better than the points. It's fun to go up against your friends each week. It's one-on-one. A lot of trash talking, little side bets on the side we like to do, at least when I play. We play total points, let's say. So I win 120 and I beat you by, 40. It's $40.
Oh, it's $1 a point?
$1 a point.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've never heard of this.
We can do something like that. Yeah.
So it's a little side action going on.
And
nice.
And it's smack talk. Yeah, that's all it is. And then it's the wins and losses. And I know you do the more points, total points thing, which is fun. But I like to go by wins and losses at the end of the season.
So let me ask you this. So in total points league, sometimes the guy that's in front or the top 2 or 3 teams can kind of run away with the league. And does that make you feel like you're out of the league?
Yes.
And you kind of quit early, maybe?
Kinda, yeah. The one time I was in the league with you, I was about the 5th or 6th week. I'm down X amount of points, and the only thing I'm really shooting for is to get the most points that week so I can win my $5 or whatever.
So basically, we have a weekly winner every week, and that tries to keep people in the action.
Right.
Maybe give them 10, 15, $20 when you win a week. But sometimes that's not even enough. If you're well out of the race, then sometimes people just quit, and that's one of the downfalls of a total points league versus a head-to-head.
Right.
In the head-to-head, you could be 0-12 and be out of it.
That's true. You could be 0-12 and you could be done too.
Yeah.
But the total point thing I do like. We might implicate that in my league this year. The total points each week. Maybe throw that person an extra $5, gives them some incentive.
So what do you think about having like a hybrid league where you pay out like a winner of the total points championship and also a head-to-head champion?
Okay.
Does that sound something like you might do?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you charge per league or per person.
Right now, some of my leagues usually around $100 to $200 an entry fee.
Okay. We're doing about $75.
Okay. Do you guys have transaction fees or anything, or is it just $75?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So in our league, it's after 5 waiver wires, it's $5.
So after you make 5 moves, it costs you $5.
$5. Yeah.
So in the league we play in, they charge $6 per transaction. 50 transactions or 100 transactions, they're putting $500-$600 extra into the pot. That adds up, and so the payouts get rather large, and sometimes they can be up to $2,000 for the winner. So it's nice, very nice. So, Royce, I know you're usually not a commissioner of your leagues. You just like to play.
I do.
I'm a commissioner, so I like to get feedback about what keeps people interested in the league throughout the year, even the ones that fall out of the race, head-to-head points. It doesn't matter. If you're out of it, sometimes you just quit and you give up, and you don't want that in your league.
Right.
So what we do is we pay out like weekly winners. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have anything like that in your league?
No, not yet, but we're tossing something around like that. Maybe an extra $5 or $10 a week to the person who has the most points.
So what I like to do is pay out. You can pay out weekly winners from week 1 to week 17 if you wanted. That way, every time someone wins a week, they get paid, and it keeps them interested. So what is the payouts at the end of the season?
Payout is 3rd place, you get your money back.
Okay.
And then. No, don't ask me to do math here. So first place is
give
probably
me a ballpark.
60%, maybe 60%.
50 or 60% to the winner.
Second's 30, and then 20 or 30, and then the 3rd place you get your money back.
Okay. So I wanted to go back to the little head-to-head side action you have with your friends.
Yeah.
Where
actually hasn't started yet. That's something I kind of throw out to someone. Like I'll be playing my buddy Bobby. Hey man, we gonna do a point? Win up by 20, I'll give you 20, and vice versa.
So have you done this before?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna throw it out there this year, but then not everybody has to do it. I mean, I could just be like, hey man, whoever I'm playing, you want to do a point of
50 cents
point.
a point would be more.
Yeah, 50 cents. Because sometimes you can just get
you can smoke.
Yeah,
I've seen guys score 240, 250 points in 1 week, and then the low guy I've seen, they can have 70 or 80.
Yeah.
That's some coin.
Well, are you doing the PPR?
Yeah, we play PPR, and we have tons of points for everything. I'm in a very dynamic scoring.
So you're like every little thing is...
Everything. Even defenses can get 40, 50 points in a really good week. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that, we don't... Ours is a standard only. So.
Standard league, so you're not getting points
no
per
points
reception.
Reception.
So it's touchdown heavy. And yardage heavy, basically.
So are you doing 4 points for your touchdowns in your
for the quarterback or for the running backs?
I guess is there a difference?
Yeah. So in our league, 6 points is for every person that scores a touchdown.
Okay.
But depending on the length of your touchdown, if you have a 20 to 30-yard touchdown, you get 7 points. If you go 30 to 48, if you get a 50-yard touchdown, you get 10 points.
Oh, okay. That's
the length of touchdown, but it's equal to all positions.
Oh, okay.
Whereas you probably do 4.
Straight.
Is it just 4 points for a touchdown?
It's actually 6. We do
6 points for everyone.
For everything. But obviously, you get. It's a long run. You get points per every 10 yards. And
you still get your yardage.
And that's 25 yards per pass. Right?
Do you guys get bonuses for if you go over 100 yards rushing?
No, we don't do that.
We do that as well.
That's kind of good. That's something we could probably look into.
We also have we give points to running backs who just get a carry. If you get a guy that gets 10 carries, you're going to get 3 points because you give him 0.3 points per carry.
Oh wow!
So as you can see, it's very dynamic, but that gives a little extra incentive to get guys that are hammers that get a lot of carries.
Yeah,
you get a few extra points for them carries. Okay. It's all part of carrying the load as a running back. There's some value to that. So.
Right. We do a league where you have to have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 2 kickers, and 2 defenses on your roster at all times.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't play all of them.
So you're only starting one quarterback, one defense.
Right.
But
so
you have to maintain
exactly, which makes it tough because it only gives us each team 2 bench players.
You only have 2 bench players?
2, yeah.
Wow, how many people on your roster total?
So it's 15.
You have 15, but you're starting 13 players.
No, you're not starting 13. You're starting your regular, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, kicker.
But you have to maintain.
But you have to maintain 2.
Got you.
Yeah, but your bench players, it's only 2. So that makes it a little difficult. But our league is only 8 teams, so the waiver wire is pretty...
8 teams. Now, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. When you play in an 8-team league, everyone's going to have a loaded roster, and that makes the decisions even harder on who you keep and who you drop.
Right.
There'll be so much talent on the waiver wire.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. But the 8-team, I know it's kind of cheapened. The 10, I think, is probably the best. But the 8, you do still have some guys you can pick up.
I typically prefer 12-team leagues.
Yeah, you do 12.
But 10 is good enough.
Yeah. 8
might be a little difficult for me. All right, so Royce, I made it a point in my last week's video to mock draft.
Yes.
I said it over and over. Yes. I got mad. Mock draft.
Mock draft.
So tell me, do you mock draft?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm mock drafting right now. You can't see over here as we do this.
So it's very important to mock draft.
It's so important. My league gives me so much shit for mock drafting the most out of anyone. It's probably crazy amount of mock drafts.
So how many mock drafts do you do a day?
Oh, 10. Easily.
10 mock drafts a day. Okay.
On a good day.
That seems reasonable to a lot of people. I do probably 25 mock drafts a day, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Tell me something. Did you win your league last year?
Yes. I won because I mock draft.
That's right.
And
so
I studied.
Royce won his league last year, and he mock draft 10 times a day, people.
10 times.
Okay.
And I got the medals from yahoo.com to show you.
Okay. So what about the mock draft helps prepare you for the real draft?
Well, it might be a little different than yours. So I kind of fall into a little creature of habit. I know what my first 5 picks are going to be. Now, I know you mock draft differently.
That's
in the
fine.
fact that you go, okay, like you said, if there's a higher, like more running backs going in the first round, you got to compensate for that. I stick to my guns. If there's all running backs going and it's coming up to me, I'm getting the best available one. I draft 2 running backs first because in my mind, it's pivotal, most important part of the fantasy football world because they catch and they run. You get points that way. And then I go to the wide receivers and my next three, and then my sixth pick is a toss between the best tight end available and the best quarterback available.
Okay,
And
so
then
you're not
that's
looking
the-
to get a quarterback till the middle rounds.
No, I know you're a fan of like the best one. If Mahomes is sitting there at 3, round 1, you're getting him probably, right?
Yeah, actually, this year in my leagues,
Yeah.
I shouldn't probably tell you this, but I'll probably take Patrick Mahomes #1. But
Yeah.
see, our leagues are different than yours.
Right, that's true.
And this
Our
is
leagues
why
are
the
different than yours.
scoring aspect of your league is
That's
super
true.
important. Our quarterbacks score well above the running backs
Right.
and receivers. There's a huge gap. And the top scoring quarterbacks, there's a huge gap between them and the next tier of quarterbacks.
Okay.
So yes, we draft 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the first round, generally speaking, every year, and Mahomes will be definitely one of them.
Right.
But that is why you need to find software that allows you to
Yes.
input your specific scoring
Yes.
into the mock draft.
true.
That way you can get a better representation of how your draft is going to play out.
So I'm punching in standard. Yahoo does this good. FantasyPros.com is another good one.
FantasyPros.com,
You can
good.
punch in
I have not used that one.
Yeah, try that one. You punch in your standard, if it's a PPR, how many teams, and basically you're just going against the computer. Yahoo mock drafts is it's live, it's people, which is good too.
Right, but
So,
see, the problem I have with that, the computer will be a better representation in my opinion.
Right.
Because it's just going down the list.
Right.
And punching in the scoring and all that, taking it into consideration and making the wisest pick.
Right.
Whereas a person that's doing a mock draft might be experimenting and trying, let me try this and see what happens.
Right.
And they might do a really crappy
They could.
job.
That's
and
true.
it's not a proper representation.
and a
of
lot
the
of
draft.
time or those leagues those drafts they go for a little while and people get bored by the 10th round, they're done, and I've done it too. I've been like, okay, all right, I kind of know where I'm going here, and I'll jump out too. So then it'll mock draft on its own.
Exactly.
But that's why you mock draft a lot, is
So also a couple weeks ago, Royce, I was talking about how you need to be fully prepared for your draft.
Absolutely.
Keeping your ear to the ground,
That's right.
checking that news every single day, all the way up to your draft, even the minutes before your draft.
Right.
You have a story.
I do have a story. It's an important story. As you guys know, last year's tight ends were terrible. I mean, as far as points, injuries, it happens in any season.
It does.
So again, in our league, we needed 2. So I was pretty much set on my first pick, who was I really like the guy out of Cleveland. And apologize for
Njoku?
Njoku.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had some upside. He looked good. He looked like he was going to get the rock a lot. So the night before the draft, I was kind of messing around, looking around, reading stuff about fantasy.
Doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Doing what I'm
preparing.
supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Big night. Go to bed early, no alcohol before the draft. No, just kidding.
No
Anyway,
alcohol during the draft.
during the draft.
You
That's
wanna-
what killed me. Yeah, that's why I didn't win last year. Yeah, well. Anyway, stumbled upon an article on Yahoo. This lady was raving about the Baltimore tight end,
Mark Andrews. Mm-hmm.
which before I read that, and probably most people didn't even know who he was, unless the diehard Baltimore fans did. And she said that watch out for this guy, get him in your draft. He's going to be a star for years to come. And a good friend of mine who was in my fantasy league, he's a stud, and he's the guy to beat every year. At the end of the season, came out to me and said, "Hey man, the reason why you won your league is because of Mark Andrews." I mean, I was doing mock drafts, an hour before, and but I obviously kept that to myself. You don't want to show your cards
Right.
too soon.
So this year, the preseason has been canceled for the NFL,
Yes.
so there's not going to be any way to
Right.
pick up little nuggets during the preseason.
Right.
But about 5, 6, 7 years ago, when Peyton Manning had his record-breaking year, I took Manning in all my drafts. I think I explained that I was in 5
did.
leagues and I had
You
Manning
won
in
them
5
all,
leagues and I won them all. But
you
one
go.
of the guys that I was watching in the preseason that I picked up on was this guy named Julius Thomas. He was their tight end at the time.
Stud.
Came out of nowhere. He was coming off a year where he was injured the entire
Yeah.
year, his rookie year.
Right.
So no one really was following him.
Right.
Even like Football Guys, the website, and all the magazines, they were not ranking Julius Thomas at all in their rankings.
Right.
He was just a ghost. But I was watching him in the preseason, and he was a beast.
He's a monster.
He was a monster.
Yeah.
He was like Antonio Gates. He was just this big basketball body,
Right.
boxing out and making all these catches.
Right.
And Manning seemed to like it. He was, hitting him with a bunch of targets. And I took him in as many drafts as I possibly could. and I think that paid off as well.
Yeah, I did.
The
I
only
remember that
one,
season.
the one league that I didn't get them was in this big pay league that I'm in with my buddies from work. And one of the guys is from Denver, and he knew about Julius Thomas, and he picked him a round before I could. I was taking Julius in one of the last rounds in all my drafts, but he
Right.
picked him up, and it pissed me off so bad.
It should have been yours.
It should have been mine, but I
You
still
did.
won that league, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
So, Royce, I am a crazy preparer for my fantasy football drafts. I do all kinds of homework beyond just mock drafts. Is there anything you do that you can let our listeners hear here about, like, your prep?
Absolutely. I think it's fantasy football now. I believe they probably start a week or two before most drafts start
On the NFL Network?
on the NFL Network.
Okay.
I want to
Fantasy football
fantasy
show?
football show. Yeah, I believe it's like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's each day. So if you're out working or doing whatever you're doing, DVR that stuff and come home and watch. They update players. They do the top 25 of each player who should play the upcoming week.
And they
who's
do
hot,
the
who's
who
not.
you should sit and who you should
sit,
start
exactly.
each week,
Right.
which
And
is
actually-
helpful.
Which is good too. And I think actually during the entire week they'll actually run a ticker, kind of like how ESPN does scores at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say start this week, sit this week. So it's almost like a 24-hour thing where you could see.
Do you use any specific websites to prepare for your draft? Any information you get from those?
Just because we go through Yahoo, so I pretty much stay on the Yahoo, and there's fantasy football in there.
And that's free
It's
material.
all free.
I use actually a subscription service with footballguys.com. They have a lot of stuff, a lot of
Right.
inside information. They have a very good mock draft tool,
Right.
Draft Dominator,
Right.
and there is no better tool out there if you want to prepare for your draft. They will give you a complete, accurate representation of your draft. So I know that you like to draft 2 running backs first. I could tell the system to make Royce draft 2 running backs first in my mock draft. That way I can
That you could just destroy
I can
me
get a
after
leg
that.
up on you on that one. So
Holmes will be sitting there after the third round. Trust me.
I believe the subscription to Football Guys is around $40 for the whole year, and they give you content each and every week. And they have a lineup dominator tool where you can give them your entire roster, and then they'll tell you which guys you should start based on the matchups, how many points they think you'll get in your scoring system.
Right.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can use to prepare if you want to go that route, or you can go with the stuff that Royce talked about for free, and that's all good stuff as well. On the week-to-week basis, you like to watch the fantasy football
do.
shows on the NFL Network
I do.
to prepare for your week. I tend to stay off of that stuff because they'll tell you, they'll kind of make you sway one way or the other, and
That's the
I like
problem.
to go with my gut.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
my first instinct is usually the right one, I find, and when the more I overthink stuff, I
Yeah.
usually make the wrong decision. So.
I have that problem too sometimes where I'm loving a running back against his defense this week, and then Fabiano on Friday says no, you should go with so and so. Happened last year. I benched Nick Chubb, who was on my team. I forget who I put in front of him. And of course, he went off for like 3 touchdowns. And
The one thing in fantasy football that I've learned, and I preach this, is to always play your hammers. And in your league, it's tough because you only have 8 teams,
Right.
so you're going to have a lot of hammers.
Right.
But in my league, it's very simple. If you've got Mahomes, you play him every week.
Right.
If you've got Ezekiel Elliott, you play him every week. You just disregard the matchups because you never know. About 5-6 years ago, maybe longer, 10 years ago, I had Peyton Manning on one of my teams. He was going up against the vaunted Baltimore Ravens defense, and everyone was telling me on the networks to sit him this week, and I sat him, and it looked good in the first half. He didn't do squat,
and then
they were down by like 24 points in the second half, and Manning brought him all the way back and had like 4 touchdowns and 400 yards passing. And ever since then, I always play my hammers. All right, so Royce, as you know, I'm not a fan of kickers.
Right.
I tell everyone, don't pick a kicker till one of your last 2 rounds. They're so random. You never know who's going to get the opportunity to get a bunch of points as a kicker. So why are you wasting a draft pick on a kicker other than the last 2 rounds, right?
Right.
So what do you think about kickers?
I agree. I completely agree with that. Again, I have to have 2 kickers in my league, but I don't pick my 2 kickers until the last 4 rounds or so. And I usually go with kickers what are available at the time. I play in domes. I'm a big dome kicker fan for obvious reasons.
The weather element. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I'm gonna get, say, a Will or even a Matt Prater, let's say, out of Detroit, I know at least 8 games out of the season he's kicking in the dome.
And most likely more because they're going to play the Vikings.
Exactly. There's other
and
teams,
other teams
as well.
at the dome.
Right.
Maybe the Saints.
Right. I'm staying away from gold from San Francisco, whoever's kicking up in Seattle, Kansas City. Even though Kansas City kicker is a stud. In December, that wind and rain and snow.
Snow, yeah.
And your fantasy football hopes are on the line to get in the playoffs, and it's going to come down to your kicker, which may happen. I'd rather have Will Lutz there in the dome.
That is actually excellent advice. If you want, what you want to look for in kickers are kickers that don't face those weather elements as much. You want to try to avoid that as much as possible.
Right.
That does factor in.
Right.
Also, you want to pick kickers from high-scoring teams, because there's going to be weeks if you have the Chicago Bears kicker and the Bears score 6 points or 7 points, you might get 0 from your kicker.
Yeah.
You go with Will Lutz and the Saints, or someone from the Chiefs, or the high-scoring offenses. You're going to get plenty of opportunities to get points from your kicker. Most likely, they're never going to get shut out. So
exactly.
Always pick kickers from high-scoring teams.
And domes. If you like domes.
And domes.
Yeah. My best friend, I'm calling her out. I love you to death, but she picks, you're going to laugh, a kicker before she picks her quarterback every single year. She'll get him like 6th round, and she'll get her quarterback like 10th round. Hey, Barbie, I love you, but that's not going to win you a championship.
So take my advice. What's her name?
Barbie.
Hate to put you on blast, but take my advice and wait till one of the last 2 rounds to get your kicker, and I guarantee you'll have more success than you did last year.
You will.
What do you think?
Absolutely, 100%.
And I also want to make this one quick point. So your strategy of taking running backs first makes sense in your league.
Right.
Because running backs are super important in your scoring format.
Absolutely.
So yes, that may make sense. However, I don't know if you should have a preconceived notion of exactly what you're going to take. But if it works for you, and it did, you won your league, then that's fine. You just want to mock draft enough to be able to handle any scenario that plays out. And as long as you're prepared for any scenario, and you want to stick to your formula, that's fine.
Right.
All right, Royce, I know you got to catch a plane, get back to your hometown of LA.
That's right.
Leave my deserted island.
It was fun, though. Thank you.
I appreciate you joining the show. Once again, if you guys like these Hawaiian shirts and you want to get some of your own, go on the links down below. Click on the little Amazon link and buy your Hawaiian shirts. Thank you for watching Fantasy Football, podcast number 3 on Fantasy Sports Island. Aloha.
Peace.